We head straight to France on today's Mobil Won the Grid to go behind the scenes at the race of the century, the Le Mans 24 Hours. Since 1923, the Circuit de la Sarthe has been hosting the world's greatest endurance race, and this year 62 cars in 3 categories would take on motorsport's ultimate challenge.
I consider myself very lucky, obviously, to be part of the race in one of the best cars. I'll try to obviously give my best, but at the same time enjoy the moments.
It's just a huge deal for everybody involved. It's a huge effort, you can see it.
It's a huge pleasure to be at Le Mans. The atmosphere of the whole race, the fans, and then this historical event. I think everyone is very excited to be at the start.
In the top hypercar category, there were a mammoth 16 entries, meaning that after 5 years of dominating the race, reigning champions Toyota would be challenged by 6 manufacturers.
It's great to have competition here. I think the first practice session we had at Sebring at the beginning of the year, knowing everyone was lined up alongside us, was a cool feeling. And the first 3 races was fun, battling everybody, and we missed that, over the last 2 years.
I think it's definitely more special. If you win and if you lose, having Ferrari, Porsche, Cadillac, Peugeot is more challenging, but at the end, it gives an extra motivation.
The pressure that comes along with being the previous winner and a bit of a target on the back. Hopefully we're going to have to use all that nervous energy and experience to our advantage and fight for the win on Sunday.
For Porsche, the most successful manufacturer at Le Mans with 19 overall victories, it was a return to the top category after 6 years away, with 3 entries plus a customer hypercar, all hoping to crown the German marque's 75th birthday with win number 20.
Porsche wouldn't be here as a brand without what they've achieved at Le Mans and the risks they took to be successful at Le Mans. Porsche and Le Mans, it's just like coffee and milk. It goes together fantastically, and hopefully these great stories will put us in good spirits and push us forward.
To get the 20th overall victory here, for us, Porsche would be a dream, of course. It's a perfect year to do it. The most important thing here in Le Mans is speed. Top speed and being able to brake well after that. No mistakes and no failures. Hopefully you have some speed in winning the race.
Cadillac led the American charge after 2 decades away from Le Mans, bringing their V-Series R to France after early success with the new machine in the IMSA Sports Car Championship.
The car's been great. I mean, it's been a long journey, and now to finally see it on track, something really fantastic for the whole team at Cadillac Racing, because they've put so much effort and time. It's not just the last few months, but nearly 1.5 years of everyone's lives.
Le Mans has a great history with Cadillac since the 50s, and then obviously 20 years back. It's going to be exciting. I think the sport is headed in the right direction, and for Cadillac it means a lot to be here fighting for this overall win.
Though Toyota have been running their GR010 hybrid since 2021, giving them an experience advantage over their rivals, they've been handicapped by the ACO with a whopping 37 kilos of ballast. Their victories in the opening 3 rounds of the WEC guaranteed nothing for the Le Mans Centenary.
Coming to Le Mans, they served us some extra ballast, which came as a surprise, and we're of course not entirely happy with it. To put the extra ballast on the car means the drivers need to work hard with the engineers to find the right balance on the car. With a few kilos more, or quite some few kilos more, the challenge only gets bigger, and the determination also.
It's tough. We've been fighting really hard for the whole week, trying to make the car faster, so it's not going to be easy to beat the other guys. Hopefully with the experience we have, we will be able to fight till the end. I guess Sunday afternoon, we'll see where we end up.
All the teams were under pressure to deliver this year, but for the drivers, there's also the privilege and sheer pleasure of competing in this extraordinary race around the clock.
If we all do our job without mistakes and try and separate ourselves from what this race actually means, hopefully at the end it'll mean we can spray some champagne.
I grew up 10 minutes from here, so it's a race that's very close to my heart, and that means maybe even more than anybody else in the field.
Can't get much better. Driving at 963 here in Le Mans, you're doing speeds over 330 kilometers an hour. Such a unique feeling, man. I wish you guys could be on the car to feel it.
In my CV, this is the only race that it's missing, and so trying to win Le Mans would be the cherry on top of the cake.
You have to go through traffic for so long. You have to have no issues everywhere. But yeah, without luck, you don't win Le Mans.
In final hyperpole qualifying, the Toyotas were outgunned by the Ferraris, who locked out the front row, leaving the reigning champions, a pair of Porsches and a couple of Cadillacs to fill the rest of the top 8. The number 3 Caddy in last place after a scary fire for Sébastien Bourdais. The number 6 Porsche had been stuck in traffic in provisional qualifying and hadn't made it to hyperpole, but André Lotterer had the perfect solution to cheer up Kevin Estre.
I'm gonna make a coffee for Kevin, my teammate. What do you want?
Cappuccino.
Okay. Good, because that's what I'm gonna make. Not anyway. Anyways, it's not that he was gonna have a choice. Let's see. Looking good, looking good. Well, the most difficult is to froth the milk right. Not too much air, not too little.
Hit it like that. Hit it like that.
Pressure's on now.
I want a nice one.
Putting pressure. Is that nice enough, man?
That's nice enough. Thank you. Tastes not bad as well.
Not bad. It says not bad. It's good.
Hit it like that.
For the 2023 race, GM had brought not only 3 Cadillacs to compete for the overall win, but 2 other cars. A NASCAR racing as the Garage 56 innovative entry and drawing attention with the distinctive roar of its Chevy V8 engine, and their Corvette C8R racing in the packed GT AM class.
It's quite an honor to be in the 100th anniversary of Le Mans, driving a Corvette the same year it's the 25th anniversary of Corvette racing. To be an American driver driving an American car in the 100th anniversary of this race is really special.
Since the turn of the century, Corvette racing had racked up 8 victories in the GT categories. But this was the last dance for the mid-engine C8R before they switched to customer racing with the GT3R next season.
Corvette racing is maybe one of the most recognized teams almost. Everyone knows Corvette racing. They've had so many victories, and hopefully we can add 1 victory for the C8R.
We have a huge fan base here. You watch the autograph lines and the fans love to see the car. We have people that gather at noon every day to listen to the train horn. We've been here so long that the fans love it, and we hope we can bring them another win, and we're certainly going to try as hard as we can.
2 victories and a second place finish so far in the WEC season gave confidence that their driver lineup of platinum pilot Nicky Katzberg, silver-rated Nico Verone and bronze driver Ben Keating were up to the task.
At Le Mans, so much of the lap time and the speed is made up in the high-speed corners. It's how you go through turn 1, it's how you go through Tête Rouge, it's how you go through the Porsche curves. Right now, I am giving up about 1.5 seconds to my teammates in the Porsche curves. That's a ton of time, but those walls are close and the roads are not exactly level, so as I go through the race, as the track rubbers up, I will be building confidence, and that margin will come down a little bit.
Having Ben as a bronze, he's one of the quickest bronze, and he has done Le Mans a lot of times. Also Nicky, he's really experienced. He won a lot of 24-hour races, so he knows what it's all about. This is my second start here. I feel like I'm much better prepared than last year, but still, it's always a challenge. We have to pay attention to every situation.
Both Ben and Nico definitely do not need to rely on me. They don't need my help. I feel like we have the best bronze in the business, definitely also the best silver in the business. They've been performing like clockwork, but I feel like we're all fast enough to make this happen.
With a field of 21 cars, Corvette would need luck as well as precision to give the C8R the perfect send-off. Ben Keating had put the bad boys from Detroit on GTE pole on Thursday night, so they knew they had the pace to do it.
It would be a dream come true, to be honest. I've won a couple of big 24-hour races, but unfortunately not yet Le Mans. Ben, my teammate, has won it a couple of times. Nico hasn't yet. So for all of us and for the team, it would be a great send-off for the C8R.
24 hours of not making any mistakes, being passed hundreds of times by other faster cars and expecting them to not make any mistakes when they're by you, that's a lot to ask of any car. Therefore, I always feel like every car in a 24-hour race is a long shot. And my hope when I get to Sunday is that I look back on the race and I say, I did a good job.
The eve of the race is all about the fans, and the drivers' parade through the centre of Le Mans creates a fevered anticipation as the world's best endurance aces are feted by packed crowds lining the streets of the city. While reigning champions Toyota were one of the first to greet the fans and have vast support thanks to their 5 consecutive victories, there was a generous welcome for the Americans too, as Cadillac made their way along the route and Corvette Racing making their 23rd straight appearance at the Great French Race.
Ben Keating, run de l'Hyperpole en GT1. Let's go!
The hype increased when the NASCAR boys arrived with their star-studded driver lineup of Jimmy Johnson, Mike Rockenfeller and Jenson Button.
Bonjour, it's amazing to be here in Le Mans. I want to say a big thank you for inviting us to come and race in Le Mans. We're going to put on a great show. I hope you love our car. We think it's awesome and we are going to storm the 24 hours. Bring it on.
Unsurprisingly, there is vast support for the European entries at Le Mans, including home favourites Peugeot and the racing red Ferraris. But with the most entries in the race, a record amount of overall wins, and celebrating their 75th anniversary, it was the passion for Porsche that saw the drivers leaving their vehicles and giving the crowd an afternoon to remember on the eve of the Grand Prix d'Endurance.
Amazing, thank you.
It's race day at the Circuit de la Sarthe, and the 325,000 tickets for the Centenary race had sold out immediately, and 12,000 grid passes had been issued, allowing punters to swamp the main straight as the clock ticked down to the 4 o'clock start. On pole in the GTE AM class were Corvette Racing.
To get the C8R on the podium would be amazing for its last race. I would be ecstatic. The whole crew would be just beside themselves.
There were weather warnings and a good chance that rain would play havoc with race plans. The Porsches were ready for whatever it took in the fight for overall victory.
The weather is not really sure what's going to happen. A lot of clouds, big chance of rain. So we'll see. We'll try to do a clean race. We start P9. We have to try to climb up slowly towards the front, but we feel confident that we are ready for that.
For Cadillac, returning after 20 years, there was a feeling of optimism despite reports of standing water on the other side of the circuit.
It's wet on that side of the track and it's dry here. I don't know if you've seen, but the 2 chicanes are fully wet, so it's super exciting, and I think at the end of the day, anything can happen, and I'm just ready to race.
And reigning champions Toyota were lying 3rd and 5th, knowing that the fight with pole-sitters Ferrari and the other manufacturers would be the most intense they'd seen in 6 years.
The best day of the week. We've been nearly 10 days, and it's the moment we are waiting for. We aim for the best, so we hope to do a good race.
The Le Mans Centenary race is underway. LeBron James waves the tricolour. They're off and racing. Ferraris ahead of Toyotas towards the Dunlop Bridge for the first time. This is going to be epic. Coming out of the Daytona chicane. Oh, sideways motion. That's the 311 Cadillac. Jack Aitken into the fence.
The car would take over an hour to repair, while up front Sebastian Buemi took the fight to Ferrari in his Toyota.
Well, that didn't take long. Sebastian Buemi drags through. Toyota leads Le Mans.
While the battle for the overall lead continued, the number 3 Caddy was hit from behind in a slow zone at the Dunlop chicane, and 3 hours of repairs ruined their chances of Le Mans glory. But for the blue number 2, there was happier news as they briefly led the race when the lead Toyota and Ferrari pitted.
We've now led our first ever laps at Le Mans as Cadillac Racing. We're right in that front group in the top 4 or 5 cars, so we're right in the mix. Hopefully we can have a fight and get back in the lead and achieve some of our dreams.
Running better than many had expected and roaring away in midfield was the Garage 56 entry, and NASCAR taking on Le Mans for the first time since 1976. For Porsche, it hadn't been an easy start, but they were still in the hypercar fight as the evening drew in.
We ran something over, I think, and took a puncture. So, yeah, I went from being quite good, kind of in a second, third position, to not being 1 lap down. But we have a new safety car thing this year. So I think at some point we will get a chance to get that lap back and get back in the fight for a podium.
Fellow American Ben Keating might have put the Corvette on GTE AM pole, but they'd lost laps after having to replace a front right damper early on. However, with so many getting caught out in the rain, they were still in the fight.
It was raining pretty hard. To be honest, I was grateful to get out of the car. We just had about an hour and a half long safety car because so many cars wrecked. I was out there on slick tires and just tiptoeing around. We got about 19 hours left, so we'll see what we can do all night.
Porsche lost one of their 3 hypercars when Mathieu Jaminet in the number 75 suffered a mechanical failure. Meanwhile, the Peugeots were running well in the cooler, damp conditions and fighting up front with the Ferraris and the Toyotas.
This race so far has thrown everything it had for 100 years into this one race. Incredibly difficult weather conditions. I was a driver. I'm very happy to be retired because today those guys really earned their money. This is motorsport to the absolute highest level in the most difficult circumstances.
We'll be back at Le Mans shortly for the conclusion of the race of the century. But now we look ahead to NASCAR's back-to-back races at Richmond and Michigan.
Last season, Kevin Harvick was the only driver to win back-to-back races in the NASCAR Cup Series. The success came after a slow start adapting to the next-gen race car.
The beginning of the year was rough. Just a lot of concepts and things that didn't really pay off or work out. We came back from the break and went to Nashville. We had a practice session, we tried some things, and we ran really well. And at that particular point, that's really when our season took a turn in the right direction.
I think the beginning of the year was as much my fault as it was anybody's. I just didn't enjoy the new car. I didn't believe in it. When you have a leader being a Debbie Downer every week, it's not a good thing. So I could feel it from the first race of the year until we did win, that it was getting better every week, and our cars were faster, we were getting closer, our pit stops were getting better. We could all feel it coming.
Michigan in August would be the place that Harvick and Childers finally broke their unwelcome 65-race win drought.
You always have those places that you have a lot of confidence in, and Michigan always been one of those. We've won, seems like every race there over the last 5 years, and when that one is kind of on the calendar and you have a star beside of it, you start building that car a little bit sooner and picking out parts and pieces, and we were prepared when we got there, and we had pretty much one of the best cars the entire weekend and was just able to put it all together.
I think when we got the lead at Michigan and were able to fend everybody off, we were able to drive away and do what we needed to do on capitalizing with the track position and the way that the cautions fell and made the moment happen.
Kevin Harvick is going to make it happen in Michigan. Great job! Awesome!
Michigan's just been a phenomenal racetrack for us through the years, and we've been fortunate to win a lot of races, and it was a good way to end the drought.
That was Harvick's 6th victory at Michigan. Next up was Richmond, where he was looking for a 4th win. It's not a track he's always found so easy.
Richmond has been probably one of our worst short tracks as I've come to SHR, and we've had some good days and bad days, and with the new car we were able to hit on some things that made it good, and we were able to get back to victory lane.
Kevin Harvick is going to win at Richmond. He goes back to back.
Yeah, boys, great job. Great job.
Richmond is definitely a racetrack that I enjoy and have been fortunate to have a lot of success at.
This season, it's Richmond's summer race up first on July 30th. Then Michigan follows a week later. It could be the stretch that injects serious momentum into the veterans' final campaign, just like last year.
Luckily, we were able to win a couple because races were hard to win last year. There's a different style of racing that came with the new car and pit strategy and really mixed everything up. So on days when you have the opportunity to win, you need to take advantage of them because success breeds success. And hopefully we can be in victory lane and hopefully be around for the playoffs at the end.
We return to Le Mans now for the conclusion of the Centenary race, which would see 22 non-finishers, including the number 7 Toyota.
Tête Rouge, yellow flags waving. There's a shunt in the background. 3 cars involved. As the JMW Ferraris run into the Toyota, I think. That's the 7. It's Kobayashi. That car's going no further. Toyota 7 out of Le Mans.
Porsche also had a difficult night, going out of contention, while the leading Peugeot of Gustavo Menezes went into the barriers in the 12th hour of the race.
The Daytona chicane has claimed another victim. It's the leading Peugeot. Menezes is off. Right front damage. Big right front damage. Disaster for the French squad.
It was now looking like a straight battle between the number 51 Ferrari and the remaining Toyota for the overall win. There were more dramatic crashes as dawn broke before Toyota ceded the lead to Ferrari after the GR010 hit a squirrel in the 16th hour, meaning the whole front end needed to be changed. In the LMP2 class, the Inter-Europol competition squad were on their way to victory, while in GTE AM, Corvette had made a remarkable recovery overnight from 2 laps down to give themselves hope of a 9th Le Mans class win. Toyota was still in second overall as Brendan Hartley handed the car over to Ryo Hirakawa for the final push as they chased down the Ferrari.
Ryo Hirakawa full attack mode on the outlap, and he's lost the back end, and Arnage on the bumps. Exactly what he was warned about by Brendan Hartley.
The Japanese driver nursed the car back to the pits and emerged 3 minutes down. It looked as though Alessandro Pierguidi and Ferrari were home and dry. But at their very last pit stop, the Ferrari, with an ongoing issue, was routed to the pit box and would not start. It was a head-in-hands moment, but finally the car sparked back to life and got underway again. It wasn't enough time lost to save Toyota, and they'd have to settle for second. Earl Bamber brought the number 2 Cadillac home in third, and the news got even better for the Americans as the NASCAR survived to finish the race in 39th place, and Corvette awaited their finishing driver, Nicky Katzberg.
Katzberg brings the GTE Corvette home for a win at Le Mans. Ben Keating and Nico Veron will share the top step with him.
Great team, great teammates, amazing strategy. I have no words.
It's a dream. We just won the last race of GTE. We just won the Centenary race for Le Mans, 25th anniversary for Corvette Racing. It gets no better. No words.
As the crowd saluted Ferrari's first overall victory since 1964 and 3 different manufacturers on the podium, Corvette Racing were in full celebration after their remarkable GTE AM win. Next time, how Corvette go racing across the globe and how Red Bull stay ahead of the F1 pack. We'll see you then on Mobil 1 The Grid.